Thank you for your patience for the technology. So I'm happy to be with you today. I recognize many of you. A few of you were here for a day long yesterday, and I was here a number of years ago. Last time I was here was February 2020. I got here in the nick of time, and I'm really happy to be back and see that this group is still going strong. And there's always the Dharma. So without further ado, let me introduce Jim to do our land acknowledgements and welcome. Thank you, Jim.
Is this okay? Am I okay? So welcome to everyone here today, and welcome to the group.
Microphone.
Okay, you got to do it this way. Welcome to everyone here, and welcome to everyone out there in the little grid postage stamps. We welcome all people of every age, ethnicity, cultural heritage, and religious background, socioeconomic group, ability, sexual orientation, and gender identity. All are welcome here. We also recognize and honor the indigenous peoples on whose ancestral lands Portland Insight Meditation Community now stands. We honor and recognize that the place where we gather is ancestral land for many people, including Clackamas, Cowlitz, Multnomah, Molalla, Chinook, Tualatin, Kalapuya, who are part of the 7 tribes of the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde, as well as the many bands of Confederated Tribes of Siletz people and other Native communities who made their home along the Columbia River. We respectfully acknowledge all Indigenous communities of the past, present, and future, and are grateful for their contributions and vibrant presence today. So, thank you for being here and recognizing this space has a history and it's got a future. So we're here to practice and move forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Is there anyone here for the first time? Ah, wonderful. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you're here, and welcome back, everyone else. It's good to be with you. I think, I don't have the exact agenda memorized, but I think at around now, Robert usually sings the refuges, which I'm not going to do, and plays guitar, which I absolutely can't do. But I will honor that by saying that we do take refuge in this, is one of the traditional practices that's recited daily in monasteries throughout the world and has been for thousands of years. Taking refuge in the Buddha, taking refuge in the idea that a person, a human being, was able to awaken and find liberation. And that taking refuge in the Buddha is recognizing that this is available to us too, because we're human beings just as the Buddha was. And taking refuge in the Dharma, which is usually considered the teachings, all the teachings, the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, and all the suttas, the discourses of the Buddha that also have been handed down for thousands of years, taking refuge in those teachings, but also the Dharma is the way it is, taking refuge in this moment, because we actually can't be anywhere else, even though we try. I try to be other places rather than where I am a lot of the time. And so to take refuge in just being right here, and then taking refuge in the Sangha, which is community, We're here together as a community. We're sitting, supporting each other in our practice, even though when we sit in meditation, it's a very private, very personal practice. We are taking refuge in this recognition that we're supporting each other too. And not just the community here. Jim read the beautiful land ancestor recognition, but we also have spiritual ancestors that have been practicing this for, again, thousands of years. And so we can take refuge in all those millions of people who have done this practice and done this work before us, and that we are just one more in a long line of people and humans who have found refuge in what we're doing in the practice, in being present, in awakening, in recognizing that we don't just practice for our own benefit, but we practice for the benefit of everyone. We practice for the benefit of all beings. And how beautiful is that? And what a beautiful thing to take refuge in. So thanks all for being here. And now we'll have a period of meditation. It's, we'll have a period of about 40 minutes of meditation. And here's some more of our lineage. The kids are going, and thank you for the youngins who are here. We're not going to make you sit for 40 minutes and meditate. There's better options for you out there. But what a delight. This is part of the Sangha too, and it's this continuity. Just as we have ancestors, we are ancestors to others, and that's the beauty of this. Is there anybody new to meditation? Okay. So you may be new to PIMC, but you're not necessarily new to meditation, so that's great too. Great. So I'll offer a little bit of guidance, but I just want to invite you to know that you really can't do this practice wrong. I do a morning meditation each morning, similar to what Robert does. I do online, and over the last several days, I've been inviting us to reconnect with the simplicity of the practice, coming back into the grounding of the practice. And simplicity doesn't necessarily mean it's easy, because when you close your eyes, it can be really challenging. The mind can try to go in 1,000 different directions at once. But to just keep returning to the present. What's the experience here? Keeping it as simple as you can, watching the tendency of the mind to latch on to stories, latch on to the future or the past. And if you can just really come into the present, being here for as long or as little as you can, that's the invitation of this practice. So let's sit. Finding your seat, whether you're sitting or standing, whether you're on a chair or a cushion on the floor, whatever it is, allow yourself to arrive. Really come into this space, letting go of getting here, letting go of your morning. Allowing yourself to release any agenda, any expectations. Allow yourself to feel supported by your seat. Taking a few moments to relax those places that might be tight or tense. Relaxing around the eyes or the jaw. Relaxing the shoulders, the arms, the hands. relaxing around the torso, softening the belly. Releasing any tension in the legs, the feet. And as you relax the body, allow the mind to relax. There's nothing to do, there's nowhere to go. Letting yourself just be open to the experience that's right here. Perhaps there's an awareness of different sensations in the body, the points of contact with the seat, your foot on the floor, your hand on the lap. Really moving into the simplicity of the practice and connecting with the present. Perhaps you notice the movement of the body as the body breathes, the gentleness of the rhythm, the inhale and the exhale. The mind will wander as it always does. And whenever you notice you've drifted, gently return, coming back to the experience that's right here. Perhaps it's the breath, the body, perhaps something else like a sound or a smell. Maybe there's a thought that's showing up. You can be aware of thoughts without becoming entangled or pulled away. Just open awareness to whatever your experience is right now. Resting in a gentle awareness of what's right here. Recognizing what's present. Perhaps the mind is restless. Perhaps there's a challenging emotion present. There may be ease and calm. Allow yourself to recognize and let it be. Acknowledging right now it's like this. present moment may be comfortable or uncomfortable, pleasant or unpleasant, maybe neither. Can you just be with this, letting go of any desire for it to be different? Can you greet this moment as it is with friendliness? Relaxed in body, relaxed in mind, allowing yourself to be right here, open to this moment. letting the experiences just come and go. Letting sound simply be sound. Thought simply be thought. Smell simply be smell. It's so easy to latch on to something, create a story, drift off to the future, the past. The effort is to be here, coming back, resting in awareness of this moment. A gentle awareness without judgment, without criticism, simply being. Relaxed in body, relaxed in mind, resting in gentle awareness, resting right where you are. And as we are coming to the last few moments of our sit this morning, I invite you to move into a simple gratitude practice, if you like, bringing to mind one thing in your life you're grateful for, and spend the next few moments resting in gratitude. Thank you, everyone. Any questions before we move on? about the instructions or your experience? Okay. Moving on. Jim, I believe it's you.
All right, is that the right way? Yeah, I think so. So this is the time we spend giving a gift to our bodies, letting the body unwind a little bit, sitting still for a while. Things have a tendency to stiffen up. So we use a ancient set of movements that releases the tension and the stress that you may have built up. Think back over the last week. Was there anything stressful that happened? Don't think about all of it. Think about the least impactful stress. And that stress causes tightness in the shoulders, tightness in the jaw, maybe in the center of the belly. Everyone has their favorite spot that resists the way things are. What if we just began moving easily and smoothly with the intention to soften the resisting parts of our physical organism? And we notice that although we're focused on lifting arms, releasing them slowly, the whole body responds, especially when we open it. Staying right here with the sensations, the feelings, the thoughts that open up. And there's no need to change anything. Just repeating a gentle gesture creates a softening in the whole body. Reaching overhead, painting a rainbow. Being aware of a rising, passing away, just like the breath rises and passes away. This is a gesture that has a certain structure. Opening, closing, and sinking. Rise up the center, and then separate clouds. How we think about the movement changes the sensations in the body, the feelings in the body, and then when the body lets go, there's an impact on the mind. It softens the mind. So there's a harmony we find. Lifting, pushing. Noticing people around you doing exactly the same thing, taking their basic health in hand, so to speak, an autonomous move to soothe the body and the mind. Opening the shoulders as far as is comfortable. Noticing new sensations. This feels like this. Reaching across, let the heel rise. Hearing the symphony of the floorboards. Waves of sound. Reaching across. Sensations in the feet. And then looking at our palm and let the other hand look at the earth, move across like a cloud moving across the sky. Switch. The cloud has a shadow. There's a harmony between heaven and earth, represented by this body moving. Step out, splash in the sea, send the water spraying around. And then ride the waves. And the pigeon opens its wings, airs them out, palms down, palms up. And then come back to the center. Feel the balance. It feels like this. Stepping out, splashing. Riding the waves. And the pigeon opens its wings. Palms up, palms down. Back to the center. Come to the stillness. Stillness out of which all the movement is born. Reaching out and moving energy down from the heaven to the earth. Just participating in the breathing of the whole planet. And then even more stillness for a couple breaths. And I'll be back in July. I think it's the third weekend of July for a day of practice doing Qigong and meditation and listening to some inspiring poetry. So thank you for joining me today. We'll see you next week, maybe.
Hello. Teresa Charm. Thank you so much, Jim. I really appreciate that. You forget the body needs that movement when you're so used to sitting. So before we begin, Candle is going to let us know about some upcoming events here. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary, and thank you so much for being here. Those of you that may not know me, my name is Candle Summers. I'm one of the teachers here, and I offer some things online, most of the time on Zoom. And there are other things going on, so you always know to look at the website. But I do want to mention on the first and third Sundays is Insight and Metta, which I teach online, and the second and fourth Sundays is Be Queer Now, and so that's tonight online. And also we have a few retreats that are coming up, a couple more day-long retreats, and the group that I offer 3 times a year, it's the Women's Rejuvenation, Restoration and Rejuvenation for Self-Identifying Women, and we opened up the registration this week, so it starts on May 16th, I think. It's always the third Friday of each month. So if you're interested or know someone who might be interested, it's a meditation and then individual sharing. There's about 12 to 16 people. It's a nice small group, so check out the website. And also coming up on June 1st, I'm going to be doing a day-long here, hybrid, online and in person, so please come. And there are some announcements usually on the bulletin board. There's QR codes there to go to the website, to be able to give donation online, and to also donate to the DEI committee that we have here. So can anybody think of something else I should have mentioned? Are you going to talk about Donna, or would you like me to say something more?
I think we'll do that after. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Pardon me?
Library.
Oh, the library. Thank you. Yes, the library is a fantastic place to go. And if you haven't been to it, there are wonderful books there. It's easy to sign things out, and it's good for browsing. So don't forget the back end of the living room. The couches are comfy, and the library is very accessible.
And there's pastries.
And there's pastries and tea afterward.
Thank you. Yay. It's nice again to be with you. It's a delight. I really enjoyed sitting with you, so thank you. The top, I have glasses and earrings and audio, and so I want to talk about this idea that it's a quote that I really like, and it kind of comes around to me every once in a while, and you probably have all heard it. It's wear the world as a loose garment. It's a quote from St. Francis of Assisi, who was a Catholic saint who lived, I think, in the 1100s. You probably recognize him. He's the one who befriended all the animals, and there's always the statues or pictures of him or with birds sitting on his shoulders and feeding little critters. But and I've heard this sentence described as "don't sweat the small stuff," which is always a good invitation, but I think it's a lot bigger than that. If it's a wonderful reflection on how we can turn towards the world and how we can be in the world. Yesterday, I think this must be the theme I'm on lately, because yesterday, the day long I offered was about becoming intimate with our experience, really being willing to connect with what's happening in our hearts, in our bodies, in our minds, because oftentimes we're not interested in that, or it's challenging, or can be really painful. And so this idea of equanimity is really important. Equanimity is that invitation to deep intimacy. I talk about living with an undefended heart. How do we open ourselves to the reality of the moment, especially when it's challenging, and it's really challenging right now. The world, we're experiencing so much horror on a regular basis, tragedy, destruction, violence, and then there's the ongoing injustices, the racial injustice, economic injustice, so much hatred and violence. It can be really overwhelming, and it's really easy to kind of want to shut down. It can be really different, but if we bring this idea to mind of wearing the world as a loose garment, there's an invitation to maybe stepping back without kind of diving in and becoming really entangled with what's going on, not turning away, not being in denial, not doing what's called spiritual bypass, which is, if you're not familiar with that phrase, it's like using spiritual principles not to have any kind of any experience at all. Everything's impermanent. Oh, well, that's a way to use spiritual teachings to disengage. And so it's not about that. It's about being fully present, but not so enmeshed. that it's not helpful to either us or to other people. And part of showing up with, as in this way of equanimity, wearing the world as a loose garment, is bringing in the idea of compassion. And I talked about compassion yesterday, but compassion is just as important as wisdom in our teachings in this practice. There's the clarity that we have to see what's really going on, and then there's our capacity to hold it with an open heart, with kindness, with compassion. And in the teachings of the heart practices, of which compassion is one, there's loving kindness, there's appreciative joy, there's equanimity. They have what are called near enemies and far enemies of each of those things. And the near enemy of compassion is pity, which is like, oh, which again is a sense of separation, which is a way to separate yourself from the reality of what's going on. And there's also overwhelm, this being subsumed by the awfulness, which is also making it about us. Oh, this is so terrible. Your experience is so terrible. I can't handle it. But compassion is being with. Wearing the world as a loose garment is the ability to be with. Sati, the word, and I love this, sati, the word that is usually translated as mindfulness, also means to be with. How can we be with a compassionate heart, with an open heart? You know, a compassionate heart sees the truth of suffering and is moved by it. We recognize our shared human condition, that we're all in this together. So we're touched by it, you know. Being overcome by it doesn't help anyone, you know. And compassion is supported by equanimity, and we wear the world as a loose garment. And I took the statue of Kuan Yin off the thing over there. It's my favorite. No, I can't find it. It's my favorite image of Kuan Yin, who is one of the representations of the Bodhisattva of compassion. It's her image, the image of her in the pose of royal ease. And you can see she's just sitting there. She's wearing a loose garment. She's very comfy. She's just sitting around like this. She's got her foot on the floor. And she's ready to spring into action. The Bodhisattva of compassion is there, hearing the cries of the world, open to everything, not turning away, not saying, I'm a Bodhisattva, I don't need to hear you, you know, but fully present, you know. And I think a really important thing to say is it doesn't mean we check out, but if we do become involved with the world, we do it with our eyes wide open. We see injustice. We see where greed, hatred, and delusion are running rampant. We understand the ramifications. And perhaps we use that understanding, that clarity, and compassion as a ground from which to do work to end injustice, to end the suffering that we see. But we don't deny the reality of the experience of the moment. There's a difference there, because someone asked a question yesterday about how do we. You know, sometimes the idea of wearing the world as a loose garment or equanimity is this kind of, oh, this is the way it is. It's kind of a giving up. There's nothing I can do. It's this acceptance in a way of like, oh, well. But it's not. It's like, this is the way it is. There's great pain right now. There's heartache. There's tragedy. There's violence. There's injustice. I feel that. I see that. I share that with the humans, with my kin, my siblings who are experiencing this. We don't turn away from that. We don't turn away from our own suffering, the pain that we've experienced. And perhaps we can use that as a ground from which to do something about it in whatever way we can, in whatever way that makes sense to us, And it's in this practice of compassion that we genuinely strive to connect with others, offering support without diminishing their integrity. Just being fully present. It's really the result of this path of coming into mindfulness. When we begin to recognize our habitual responses to things, because we habitually react through our conditioning. And a lot of times that's a rigid way of seeing the world. Things should be this way. Things should be that way. Especially, anybody else have that litany in their mind of how you really should be? All right, this is my favorite question. How old are you? Shouldn't you be further along in your life than you are now? Who made that rule? It's like, but these ideas move into our head, and then we think that's the way they should be if we don't examine them. And this practice invites us to examine them, especially when it's uncomfortable. It's like, what's going on? What's happening right now? Or if we are practicing spiritual bypass, or if we are distracting ourselves in some way, shape, or form. 30 years ago, I played solitaire for 8 hours straight. And after the end of that 8 hours, I went, am I avoiding something? Sometimes it takes a while for it to sink in. And other times we know. It's like la, 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 la. But instead, if we can open, we can wear the world as a loose garment and maybe get rid of those shoulds. Get rid of those have-tos, those reactions. There's a freedom we have when we're not chained to the idea of how it should be. Don't they get it? Why don't they understand? Why don't they do it differently? And yeah, we see the suffering caused by greed, hatred, and ignorance, but we're willing to do something about it without getting caught up in the shoulds. I also think about this the work that we do in this world to end injustice. John Lewis, who you probably know was one of the architects of the civil rights movement, and he was a congressman from Georgia for many years. And he said, this work we do is not the work of one lifetime. It's a work of generations. So we just show up where we can and do what we can where we are with what we have in the moment and get rid of the expectations around it's supposed to be this way, and instead we just do the most appropriate thing. Equanimity is the appropriate response to the present moment. What can we do right now? Wear the world as a loose garment. The image came to me of a suit of armor is the opposite of a loose garment. It's so rigid. It has to be X, Y, or Z, and you see so much of that today. This falling into rigidity, and how much pain that causes. We can't. I'm doing something wrong, obviously. I apologize for my foofing. We have a desire to alleviate suffering, but it's balanced by wisdom. And I went to a thing on Friday morning, an online thing, with Ruth King, who is a teacher I adore, and they were talking about fierce compassion. It's this capacity to face the difficult things, And we have to remember not to take things personally. because we can. We create the story of me and my and I, and things that happen we take personally, and that can be so painful. Can we let go of that and instead wear the world as a loose garment? These people, we're all just bumbling through this life. Some of us with more clarity and compassion than others. Others just kind of smashing into things. There's a teaching around equanimity called the 8 worldly winds, and this is a real good teaching in not taking things personally, because there's praise and blame, there's gain and loss, there's pleasure, there's pain, there's I always forget the fourth one, fame and disrepute. And this stuff happens no matter what. These things happen no matter what. You can say something and one person will say, wow, that's great, and somebody else will say, that sucks. Which is it? Which is true? We tend to focus on the sucky part and not so much on the that's great part. But can we just recognize that these other people have their conditioned, and we're all conditioned beings going through life bouncing against each other. But if we can just wear the world as a loose garment and spend some time reflecting on how we receive things, how we respond, how we react, how we talk, really diving into what's going on right here, right now. You know, Philip Moffat, who's a great teacher, in one of his books, he talks about not taking things so personally, and one of his recommendations is to quit being the star of your own movie. It's not all about me. Instead of needing the world to behave in a particular way, I'm sorry. Bring it up? Okay. Oh, I was told the other way. Okay, we'll try this then. Further up. This is fun. Yeah? No? Okay. We'll see. Maybe yes, maybe no. Thank you. Talk amongst yourselves. No.
I'm going to try it the opposite of what she just said for now.
I thought that's where it was.
Way down.
Under.
If
Yeah.
that one doesn't work, then we'll try the nose idea.
I guess I didn't have it down enough.
That's way down. Let's see if it picks you up.
Okay, how's that? Can you hear me? Can you hear me there? Can you hear me online? It's kind of low. All right.
Just tip it.
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. How's that? Fingers. All right. Yay. I just didn't have it down enough. Thank you. See, it was me. It wasn't the equipment. So quit being the star of our own movie. It's not all about me. How painful is it when it's all about me? How painful is it when it's all about you? It's not so personal. People are just going through the world. I mean, sometimes it is, sometimes it's direct, but a lot of times it's our conditioning. And can we recognize our conditioning, the stories we have about our lives? That we're not good enough, or they, this, that, whatever your story is. Mine is, I'm not good enough. I'm on the outside looking in. I'm not supposed to, don't say anything they don't want to hear because you'll get in trouble. Be a good girl. I worked for a place as a temp, and then when they finally hired me, they gave me a nameplate for my desk. It said Little Mary Sunshine. Because I was always smiling, because I thought that's how life works. Smile all the time and you'll be okay. And nothing bad will happen. And then I'd go home and drink a quart of vodka because it didn't work. But that's what we do. We create these scenarios of how to show up in the world. And then when it doesn't go the way we want, we take it personally, and it's so damn hard. A lot of times it feels personal because there is a lot of ignorance, there is a lot of hate, there is a lot of injustice. But how do we recognize that for that? And be gentle and find a way to move through this world. And that's where I find this practice is presenting us with this path. The Buddha gave us the Eightfold Path and the teachings and the Noble Truths. It's like, how can you live in a way, especially in the Eightfold Path, there's the teachings around sila. There's the teachings around integrity, how to be in the world without causing harm. Ruth King, who I mentioned, I heard her say on a retreat, her intention was to live in a way that makes it safe for other people to be around you. Then the slings and arrows that people throw at you, it's like, we check in. I am showing up as wisely, as skillfully as I can in this moment, with the intention to not cause harm, with the intention to be compassionate, to be generous. Not to be a doormat. It's not about being a doormat. It's about, saying what needs to be said. This is a practice of accountability. We're accountable where other people are accountable for their actions. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if people are causing harm, we do what we can to end that, to stop that. But we can do it without being so, can we do it loosely and remember that there's also joy in this world. Being fully present right now means also being fully present for joy. And it's like, I shouldn't be happy. There's so much suffering in the world. Well, then what you're doing is saying no to reality. Because the reality of the moment is you go outside and you see the flowers, or you see the sunset, or you watch your cats chase each other around the house. And you're filled with this feeling of joy and lightness. Let it be there, because that will pass, because everything passes, and there will be a moment of sadness and deep grief, which will make you pause also. But you're welcome to it. I've been going through a lot lately like that because my brother passed away a few months ago, and he's basically the last person. I'm the only one left in my family. So when I think about that, and I heard a recording just came on was in the car driving. I was in a long drive and was listening to music, and this cut came up that I didn't even know I had, of a recording of my family when I was like 4 years old, and my brothers and my mom and my dad. And it was just this sad, this grief. And it's like, okay, this is what's here right now. Let's be with this. And then something else came, and there was a beautiful, gorgeous lushness right now because of the spring and the winter and the rains. And wow, that beauty. And we wear the world as a loose garment. I don't say, no, come back, grief. I need to cry more because it feels cathartic. Makes me feel good about me because it shows me I care. It's like, no, we let it go. We let 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 go. That is actually the heart of this practice, is to let go. Ajahn Chah, who many of you have heard of, he was wise to Thai monk and lived in the last century. He was one of Jack Kornfield's teachers. He was many people's teachers. And he said, when you let go a little, you get a little peace. When you let go a little more, you get more peace. When you let go completely, you get complete peace. And peace doesn't mean everything goes your way and it's candy and roses and popcorn all the time. It means you can wear the world as a loose garment. And I sat a few retreats with Bhikkhu Analayo during the pandemic. Bhikkhu Analayo is you may know him, he's a monk. He lives back in Massachusetts at the Barry Center. And he's a brainiac. He's written bazillion books where 50% of the book is footnotes. He's one of those scholars. And he's written on the Satipatthana Sutta, and he's written on, and he translates Pali, and he translates Sanskrit, and he translates Chinese. He's just one of those guys. So he's just so full of knowledge and wisdom and practice. And on this retreat, he said, and they send out a recording, and I listened to it like 5 or 6 times and wrote down exactly what he said. He said, if I had to summarize the whole of the teachings, and if you've seen the teachings, there's like volumes of them. He said, if I had to summarize the teachings, I could in just 5 letters. LETGO. Can you let go of what you're holding on to? Can you let go of your story, of who you think you are, of who everybody told you are? That you're not good enough or smart enough or any of those things. Whatever you've been, of those stories that keep coming, can you let go? Can you let go of the shoulds and the expectations and the if-onlys and the what-ifs? That's where so much of our pain, our suffering comes from, our dukkha, our inability to be in our own skin, our discomfort. Can you let go? Another one of my favorite teachers, this is Gil Fronsdal, and he said, when craving is, clinging is. And to cling is to suffer. So the invitation is to let go. Okay, and now I'm going to read one of my favorite things on letting go. This is by Ajahn Sumedho, who is another monk, another student of Ajahn Chah, and this is where you can see that, and Ajahn Sumedho is an interesting person, as we all are interesting people, and we can be very wise in some regards and very deluded in other regards, and Ajahn Sumedho is one of those folks. He holds some views that are kind of, I'm going to say, he doesn't believe that women should be fully ordained for various reasons, which I find very deluded, because the Buddha ordained women fully. But he's also very wise in other ways, and I hold the wisdom and challenge the delusion. But he writes about letting go. The practice of letting go is very effective for minds obsessed by compulsive thinking. You simplify your meditation practice down to 2 words: let go. Rather than try to develop this practice and then develop that and achieve this and go into that, understand this, read the suttas, study the Abhidhamma, learn Pali and Sanskrit, the Prajnaparamita, get ordinations in the Vajrayana, Mahayana, write books and become a world-renowned authority on Buddhism. Instead of becoming the world's expert on Buddhism and being invited to international Buddhist conferences, let go, let go, let go. I did nothing but this for about 2 years. Every time I tried to understand or figure things out, I'd say, let go, let go, let go, until the desire would fade out. So I'm making it very simple for you, to save you from getting caught in incredible amounts of suffering. There's nothing more sorrowful than having to attend international Buddhist conferences. Some of you might have the desire to become the Buddha of our age, radiating love throughout the world. But instead, I suggest just being an earthworm, letting go of the desire to radiate love throughout the world. Just be an earthworm who knows only 2 words: let go, let go, let go. The important thing in meditation is to be constant and resolute in the practice, determined to be awakened. This is not to be conceited or foolish, but resolute. Even when the going is rough, remind yourself of the Buddha, the one who knows, of the Dharma and the Sangha. And stay with it, letting go of despair and anguish, letting go of pain and doubt, and everything that arises and passes that we habitually cling to and identify this. Keep this letting go like a constant refrain in your mind, so it just pops up on your own no matter where you are. LETGO. It sounds so simple. But how hard is it? it's really hard, because who will you be if you let go? What will happen if you let go? That's the scary part, when we start letting go of those stories of who I am or what I should be or this. It's like, what is it? What is it? And this is where you land on, how do I want to be in the world? How do I show up? That Eightfold Path that shows you how to be in the world, making it safe for others to be around you, living in a way that doesn't cause harm, that cultivates compassion, that cultivates generosity, that says what needs to be said, that does what needs to be done. Let go, let go, let go. I was talking about this with a friend of mine the other day who had a serious illness last year, and her whole life changed. She was no longer able to work or to drive or to even open cans of cat food. She had to have people come and stay with her. I mean, her whole life shifted, turned upside down. And we know people that's happened to. We see people who that's happened to. And she said she'd read a book, and the person who, I don't remember who wrote it, but there was a line in it that spoke to her. And I think I wrote it down correctly. It said, "What if you were called to let go of what you thought you were?" Which is what we have to do in this practice. Can we let go and just be, wearing everything as a loose garment? Can we be open to this moment? Can we be open to the pleasure and the pain, the gain and the loss, the praise and the blame? And be grounded in these teachings. Be grounded in the recognition that we are all connected in doing this, walking through this. I think it's really challenging. What's more challenging is I still have 20 minutes left to talk. But that's the invitation of this practice. That's the invitation of this practice. So I want to do a couple things, because I haven't given a long Dharma talk in a long time. Most of my Dharma talks are like a half an hour, 40 minutes at the most, in a long time. So what I want to do is I want to invite you, if you like, to, we'll just sit for a couple of minutes, and maybe let's sit for a few moments. You can be comfy, you don't have to get formal or anything. And just spend a few moments reflecting on this idea of letting go, and what might be something that you would need to let go of, or would like to let go of. It can be simple, it could be major. Letting go of any judgment, letting go of any yeah, but. Just something that comes up for you in your heart. Not that anybody has told you you should do, but what is uncomfortable for you. The practice of letting go is about letting go of things that don't serve us either. And Rick Hansen has a teaching that says if you let go of something, especially around the practice of renunciation, of letting go of something that may not be helpful, what would you like to move or bring into its place or do instead? There'd be space. When we let go, we create space. Is there anything you'd like to have come into that space? An intention you'd like to move towards? And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And what I'd like you to do, if you want to, is maybe turn to the person next to you. And if you want, tell them what you want to let go of. Why don't you find it? See if there's a person sitting next to you. Is there anybody sitting next to you? And you don't have to if you're uncomfortable with that, but just share with each other what you'd like to let go of. Do you need another couple of minutes? I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to share. Okay, another 2 minutes. And if you want to go into what you want to bring in, you can do that as well, if you have that. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Make sure you introduced yourself, too. So, any questions, or would anybody want to share what they want to let go of briefly? Now you're quiet. Yeah, with oh. I am on a leash. I ain't going nowhere.
So I talked about career stuff and putting too much pressure on myself to do more because I feel like I'm not doing enough and I want to let go of that. But my question is, I'm kind of on the onset of career stuff. I just actually applied for my first big kid job, so that's exciting. But I had a question about the Ajahn Sumedho quote. Does letting go mean that we need to let go of like our dreams and ambitions? And if so, does that mean that we're like just giving up on that? Does that mean we just don't try? Yeah, that.
Great question. Thank you so much. And it doesn't mean that at all. And that's where these things get confused. Like if you let go of expectations, like I had a conversation with a friend of mine a while ago about, letting go of expectations. And she's like, but I expect X, Y, and Z. It's not about that, letting go of those types of things. Desire has a bad rap in Buddhism, but there's nothing wrong with desire. It's when it turns into craving and obsession that it becomes challenging. So if you were to, you want to have goals, otherwise we kind of like become lumps. You want to end injustice, you want to work for that, you want to become enlightened, you want a job, you want to do these things. Of course, we have that, we're human beings, we want to do these things, but it's when we become attached, enmeshed, obsessed about it. And so you apply for jobs and you don't get jobs and you go, okay, this is painful, what's the next indicated thing? That's wearing the world as a loose garment. We let go of thinking it's supposed to be a certain way. I'm going to go to this college, I'm going to get this job, I'm going to live in this place, that scenario. Instead, just see how things kind of, because we become so fixated on what we think it's supposed to be, we miss out on what's actually happening. And we slam into brick wall after brick wall after brick wall going after this particular thing, when there's all this other thing that we're not making space for. So when we finally let go of that, I mentioned yesterday for a year, I look back and I had a pea brain. I see myself as having a pea brain. The options in my world were this small. I had a job at a company. I loved the company, I loved the job, and then they had some reorganization, so the job I ended up doing was horrible. For me, it was not the right job for me. Other people had no problem with it. And I lasted for 2 years, and I couldn't stand it anymore. I would wake up in the morning and think I'd rather die than go to work and not realize that was something wrong. That was not a good way to think. But I was so terrified. I said, I can't do anything else. No one will ever hire me. All I know is this. It was terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And but then I realized it's like, I can't do this. It took me about 9 months before I quit. And when I gave my notice, it was like the world, just that weight lifted off me. And then I ended up doing something in a field I didn't know existed. I mean, just a few months later. Because I did work, I did action, I did research, I talked to people, I did stuff. I didn't just sit there and go, but it was because I was so enmeshed of this is the only way it can be. I'm doomed if I don't. And that was so painful that I wanted to run away. Instead of then finally chipping away, and saying, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. And then, so that's when those goals and these ideas become really problematic, is when we're so attached to them. But when we have things that are driven by these, that's like, I'm not going to be okay, la la la. When we can let go in that realm, then of course, we do what we do, and then it takes us where it takes us. So thank you for the question. Yeah. Mike, over here, Jim, thanks. It's so, we need the mic so the people online can hear. Yeah.
I really like that you gave an example. I think examples are so helpful because when we talk about the theoretical, it all sounds good, but then, when the rubber hits the road, it's like, what was that? So your last example was really helpful to me, and I'll just share with you very, very quickly. This was many years ago, talking about wearing the garment lightly. I wanted to buy a house, and I was the first person there to make the offer. I did everything right, and it was a divorce situation, and the other person finally, by the time they responded, many other offers had come in. And I actually cried in my office. And you know what? That was the best thing that could have happened to me, because I would have never gotten the next opportunity. And I try to remember that. I don't always. When something doesn't go the way I think, that paves the way for something even better. So, examples I love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's a Zen story that I can't remember, but it illustrates that beautifully. I wish I could remember it. But it was like, I think the thing was like, a farmer's horse dies, and it's like, and this is terrible. And he's like, is that so? And then something good happens, and he says, is that so? And then something terrible happens, and he goes, is that so? And, it's just like, oh, is that so? Is that so? Okay, right now it's like this. I'm going like, I have a tattooed on my arm. Right now it's like this. Right now it's like this. What's happening? Right now it's like this. How can I be with this? How can I be present for this moment? It's like Zen, the teaching of Beginner's Mind. The book Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind is a really excellent book by Suzuki Roshi. Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind. Right now it's like this, because anytime we think we know, we've already created a preconceived idea of this is the way it's going to be, and we don't allow space for the reality that's present. And we need to be present. That's what this is about, being right here, right now. Because there's no place else. I mean, of course, there's Switzerland, but we're here. So we can't be anywhere but where we are. Find your feet on the floor, your breath. Be with the sensations that are right here in this moment. Anything else? Any other thoughts or questions? Okay. Well, let's just sit for a few minutes then. Let's just sit we've just got a couple of minutes till we end, and those little youngins come scampering back in. Let's just sit with this invitation to be. This softening to you. Ooh, here they are.
Well, hello. We're about ready to wind up our time together, but we'd like to know what you have been doing while we were in here. Anybody would like to describe what you learned or what you want to do? Okay.
We painted, I forgot what we were painting, but we were painting today. Compassion.
We did something. I'm not really sure what, but we sure did it.
We did hoi hoi.
We did a compassion meditation and then painted what compassion looks like to us. No.
painted.
Nice.
What Jasper said.
Thank you very much.
What?
So you have some paintings you can show your friends. Nice. Okay. So now we spend some time thinking about something nice to do for someone else. You know, you're going to do a favor, or you're going to do a blessing, or you think of something really makes your heart warm.
What?
So think about that for a second. What would make your heart feel soft and warm? Okay, and we'll blow the candle out when I count to 3. What's that?
Song.
Oh, song.
Before the candle.
I'm
Okay.
sorry, I forgot. All right. So, what would you like to lead the song? Okay.
Yay.
May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Good. Very good. All right. Now you get a chance to hold that wish in your heart and count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Very good.